I feel like we have to go this way, right? Mackenzie!
Lamar. Oh, we did so good.
I learned something this week. For literally, 15, 20 years at this point, people have given Christian Bale shit for the Batman voice. Did you read this? That like a lot of that was added in post, not added in post, but definitely upped the intensity of his vocal performance in post. So only like I would say 60% of the Batman voice is on Christian Bale. I will also say it kind of makes sense that you'd want to disguise your voice if you're a billionaire in this city and everyone knows your face. So there's a logic to it. Just saying.
To be honest, I always thought it was weird in other versions where they didn't, because like you are definitely interacting with some of the same people that you interact with in your normal life, and I feel like you would automatically disguise your voice. So I'm here for it. I've never made fun of it, just for the record.
It's silly when you rewatch it. There are some lines that are very funny in this. We could talk about that when we get to spoiler territory. What's your favorite throaty, like weird Batman line of dialogue in this? Because there are just some real fun ones, but that's not our cold open. Our cold open this week is, with this being hailed as sort of potentially the best superhero film of all time, is this your personal number one?
That's a great question.
And to give you a second to think, this is only like the second superhero movie we've done on the pod. Or we did Black Panther.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I think that might be it, which is kind of sad, actually. I think we, like everyone else, got a little marveled out, and they were kind of dominating the space for a while. So I think it was like, I need a breather. However, I'm a big superhero girly. I was comic book girly, so like I love the stories. I think I did get burned out just like everybody else, but this is definitely, it's probably not my absolute favorite, but it's top 5 certainly, maybe top 3, because it's one, it's so good. I also feel a great sense of personal loyalty. For those of you who don't know, my last name is Wayne. I think I've covered this on the pod before. My dad's
your dad's name is Bruce fucking Wayne. We have a reel about it.
We have a whole reel about how you discovered that. I cannot believe that it took that long. But anyways, so I have a great sense of personal loyalty to not only Batman, but all things DC, which leads me to, I think, one of my other absolute favorites, which is Wonder Woman, the Patty Jenkins Wonder Woman, the first one. I think that was so fucking well done. Gal Gadot in that role is perfect. I have always loved Wonder Woman. She's like my other favorite, one of my favorite superheroes. So I have always really loved that one. And then I would say, probably along with 12 billion other people, the first Avengers, like the one that brought it all together. Like if you just think about that moment in time, like I know they upped the ante in later ones and did some incredible stuff, don't get me wrong, but there is something about that first Avengers movie and like that moment in time and that bringing together after years of those films, that like that was a fucking experience. So I think these are some of my faves.
Solid choices. I think,
of course, I couldn't pick one. Can you pick one?
I think I can. I'm pretty sure I can. And it might seem like sacrilege. I feel like I should, be going back to my childhood in like the 80s and 90s if you want to go with like the older Michael Keaton Batman, or like even if you want to call the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, great, like are they superheroes? I don't know. But I'm going to say this. The Dark Knight is probably what I would consider the best film of the superhero genre. I think front to back, it's an incredible film, and it's like an art piece that stands alone.
Great film. Yes.
But as far as what movie do I want to sit down and watch the most, that I think has the most rewatchability, similar to what you said, but I'm going to go with Avengers Infinity War. I think in the same way that it ties, that the original Avengers tied together that, those 6 years of movies leading up to it. I think Infinity War was just, I'm not even going with Endgames. I think honestly, Infinity War is the better movie. It's this incredible, the whole thing takes place over like 24 or 36 hours. It's just this day where Thanos is deciding to wreck shop on the galaxy. And you're seeing your heroes that you love fail for the first time. And I just thought it was such a bleak film for a Marvel. I applauded them for doing something different. And obviously a lot of it kind of, spoiler, gets reversed in Endgame or fixed or whatever. But I just thought
you leave on the note of not knowing, and it's very different than
I remember walking out of the theater and just everyone was silent. But front to back, that one doesn't have Not a lot of pee breaks in that one. You just kind of want to keep
Mm-mm.
watching because there is just something always happening.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. That's another really I mean, the Avengers in general, Infinity War, Endgame even, those are all really, I think, pivotal films in terms of superhero filmmaking. But yeah, I think it's solid to shout out some of the classics. You know, the Michael Keatons of the world are so good and so classic. And then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, man, what a vibe. What a vibe.
Yeah.
What a good time.
Spider-Man 2, like the
Spider-Man.
original Spider-Man, like Spider-Man 2,
Yeah.
great. I know that we're missing some. Honestly, I have a soft spot for the fucking Tom Jane Punisher. I thought was underrated. I don't think it's the
Mm.
best of all time, but
I
go
thought you were
watch
about to
the
say
Tom Jane
Spider-Man
Punisher.
3, and I was going to be like, no.
I do not have a
No.
soft spot for Spider-Man. Just the emo dance sequence. That's all I like
Oh
about
my
that
god,
movie.
it's
But,
so bad. It's
yeah.
so bad. Anyway. All right, let's roll. Welcome back to We Drink and We Watch Things. I'm Mackenzie.
I'm Lamar.
And we are continuing with Nol-vember, which, if you haven't been here, is our month, talking about all things Christopher Nolan, as we like to do every November, focus on a director. So he's the one this month. And we are continuing with the fan-voted The Dark Knight.
That's right, nerds. Every 40-year-old male, try not to come in your pants. We're finally doing your favorite movie, The Dark Knight. It's not that I'm disappointed. I really like this movie. And I watched it again last night for probably the 5th or 6th time. It is such a great experience. But I said this last week. I just don't know what more we can say. We're going to talk about it. I really would have loved to talk about Batman Begins or give The Dark Knight Rises a little bit of shit. But we're going to do what the fans want.
He says this like it's not our fucking podcast and we can decide what to do and not do. But,
you know, us, Mackenzie. We'll get canceled. People cancel people for anything nowadays.
We have like 12 people who are going to cancel us. Like,
exactly.
We'll be fine.
That's
we
all
can
it
talk.
Takes. One bad retweet.
Oh, thank God we're not on Twitter. Anyways, what's going to let us rave about this film and say all the things everybody else has already said is going to be a really interesting cocktail, which is, tell us about
this one is called The Dark Nightcap. Coming as
See what
always.
we did there? See what we did there?
From at Craft World. Look them up. Give them a follow. Give them a like. And this is 2 ounces of bourbon, 0.75 ounces of Saint Germain, 0.75 ounces of lemon, and 0.75 ounces of honey syrup, which you can make yourself. It's just hot water and honey, 50-50 split. Mix that up, and then you're going to shake it, put it into a martini glass with a cherry on the bottom. And he did say, if you want to make it a little darker, because it's kind of, he said it's a cross between sort of a Manhattan and a Gold Rush. Taste-wise, I would say yes. But if you want to make it darker, a little black food dye will get that Dark Knight rolling. Look at you. That looks like an espresso martini. All right, cheers.
Cheers. I'm going to have black lips again. What was the last one we did that? We did one recently.
Was it the ring
it was
where
the
your
Halloween
mouth
one.
turned green?
Oh, yeah, it was the ring because it was literally the rim on the glass
salt,
turned me. Yeah. About to go down again. Anyways, this is lovely, though. I like it.
Yeah, it's tasty. Yeah. If you
Matches
like
my
Gold
black
Rushes,
nails.
I would explore this.
I had to black out because of the Dark Knight. Like, I got a black top, black nails, black drink. Time to go.
I'll just lie and say I'm going as Harvey Dent because I'm wearing white. I didn't plan this, but
well, that makes sense. I'm the Dark Knight and you're the White Knight. That checks out. I don't know. That feels vaguely correct.
You know, every time that I've taken a girl on a date, I like to think of myself as a white knight. So thanks, Mackenzie. That means a lot. I put that in my Hinge profile when I'm on there.
I'm here for you. I'll also tell Janelle about your Hinge profile.
Babe.
Okay, so some basics, and then we're gonna get into all the good stuff. So, The Dark Knight, as we said, 2008, only a couple years after our last one, The Prestige. He's just cranking them out, like we said last time. But this is a 9.1 out of 10 on IMDb, which I think is like pretty incredible for IMDbers. And then a 94% from both critics and audiences. So universally beloved movie. And it's obvious why, but we'll talk more about it. Christopher Nolan, obviously. It's a whole month is about this fucking guy. Oppenheimer, Dunkirk, Batman, Interstellar, all the things. We're going to talk about Interstellar next week. And then both he and his brother, Christopher and Jonathan, write all the things. So they did the screenplay for both of these. Funnily enough, we've got a story contributor here not only in Christopher Nolan, but also in David S. Goyer.
Do you know what you know him from?
Nope.
He wrote, and I don't know if he directed, but I know he wrote Blade 2, which is the best one of the trilogy. He also wrote Blade 3, which is the worst one of the trilogy. And then he wrote another one.
He's got quite a range.
He wrote another one, a little movie called Blade, which was pretty good. So, but
did he do the story or did he screenplay?
No, he wrote the screenplay. Okay. And I'm underselling him. He's done a ton of shit, but I wanted to call out that he did all the Blade movies because I'm a fan. Speaking of superhero movies, yeah.
You talked a little light shit though at the same time. I respect it. Also, we got to shout out my boy, the man, Bob Kane. He is the creator, the brilliant mind behind all things Batman. So let's not forget where we came from, shall we?
I forgot to drop my Nolan fact. He told me last week that
hit us with your factoid.
So last week we talked about how he likes to be the only one shooting everything, doesn't like using a second unit. And I think this kind of tags on to that. And it's his commitment to theatrical releases. I think it should seem obvious, right? You know, he's sort of pioneered the IMAX days. Like he was one of the first directors that I remember.
Don't tell James Cameron that.
Well, okay, fine, JC. But like, it feels like Nolan.
You can talk all the shit to James Cameron.
Saying
as
he was
far
the
as I'm
first,
concerned.
But he definitely like took it to another level. I would say. I'm sure it's debatable. But he is committed to theatrical releases. He doesn't see this whole, now you can see movies that are streaming 2 weeks after they come out, or even the same day that they come out in theaters. And his commitment, he's on the record as saying, I will never make a movie for Netflix or anything that's going straight to Netflix, because why the fuck would I make a film that I don't want people to watch in a movie theater? I think that's pretty cool.
I totally agree. Y'all know I'm a movie theater fan. I have seen 3 movies in theaters this week. So I feel very strongly about going to a theater to see a thing. But yeah, I love seeing his stuff in theaters. It is large format viewing. Like that's the point of it. I think that's totally true. And I wanted to shout out yet again, Emma Thomas, his wife, is co-producing this and crushing it, obviously. Major cast and crew real quick. Obviously, we got Christian Bale, Batman, the guy, Bruce Wayne, Batman, really doing 2 jobs in one. I don't know if he got doubled salary or what, but he's doing all the things.
Reign of Fire, great dragon movie, better than any of the Hobbits, I'll tell you that much. Matthew McConaughey. Hobbit doesn't have Matthew McConaughey. I know that.
It's true. It doesn't. Hard pass. We just talked about Christian Bale and The Prestige, so I'm not going to deep dive on this fella. Heath Ledger plays the Joker, posthumously won the Oscar for this performance, as I think most people know, but in case you didn't. Peter
Finch in Network was the first person to posthumously win an Oscar, and Heath was the second.
Yeah, and I think it was one of those, it was like just so well deserved, but also an atypical win. You don't see a lot of Oscar winners for superhero movies, quote unquote. And I think it's one of the many things that speaks to how much this is just a really great film and really great performances by the people in it. So he's been in a bazillion things. I think we've talked about him before, but just quick recap: A Knight's Tale, Brokeback Mountain, which was another one that he was Oscar nommed for, 10 Things I Hate About You, which was fun and a classic. And so he really had such range, and it was such a loss, actually. R.I.P. Heath Ledger. Michael Caine, as you said last time, 92 and going strong, still with us, thank goodness, playing Alfred. He has done basically everything Christopher Nolan, like we said last time, just like did a ton of them in a row, continues to crush it. He also has just such range, but another one that I like for him is The Kingsman. That's a fun series as well that he's in. And
he's
then
he's good in that. Yeah, the first one, I didn't love the second. They made a third one too that was like a prequel.
Second one is one of the worst things I've ever seen. It's like it's really bad, but the prequel is better, I will say. I think it does that thing that trilogies do sometimes. It gets better. So anyways, Gary Oldman plays Gordon. He's in a bazillion things as well. The Darkest Hour, Leon the Professional. He's in Oppenheimer, which we've talked about. We
just did Bram Stoker's Dracula.
We did obviously just do that. So many things.
Weird to see him in this. It's the same as Andy Serkis last week. It's like, oh, that's Gary Oldman. Oh, he's just sort of doing a thing like a normal.
He just looks normal. He's just doing like a normal thing. He doesn't have like prosthetics like Darkest Hour. Yeah, no, he's just being normal. Aaron Eckhart plays Harvey Dent, our white knight in this one. He's done a few things. One that we almost did in Satire September, and I was like a little sad we didn't, which is Thank You for Smoking. He's done Midway. He's also done two of my like least favorite movies of all time. Wicker Man, the Wicker Man remake specifically,
Cage, yeah.
and The Core. Two of the worst movies I think I've ever seen. They're so bad. But he's also done some great ones, like I said. Maggie Gyllenhaal plays Rachel. She got her breakout role was Secretary. Really well known for Donnie Darko.
Yep.
And then she's done a lot of, especially indie films later on, including like The Lost Daughter and some of these Sherry
Do you know
Baby.
why I never bothered to look this up? I guess because I don't really care that much about it. But why was it that Katie Holmes couldn't reprise her role here? Is there a story
This was in
behind it?
her Tom Cruise's Controlling My Life and My Career era.
And he's
After they
jumping
got
all over these
married.
couches and okay, yeah.
They
All
were,
right.
I think, already
more.
married at this point, and like she just didn't work during that time. And it seemed there was lots of allusions. I don't know how accurate. There was lots of allusions to like him not letting her work, you know. So I don't know. But anyways, yes, it's actually, in my opinion, a really terrible decision. But we also have Mr. Morgan Freeman crushing it as per usual as Lucius Fox. Shawshank Redemption, Seven, Lean on Me, tons of incredible stuff. But fun fact, Now You See Me, which both he and Michael Caine are in, which is fun. I think they just wanted to hang
Now
out.
You See Me, but
It's okay, but I think
like from last
yeah,
week. Yeah.
I think they just wanted to hang out maybe. And did you see they're making another one? They had a Now You See Me 2, and now they're making another one.
That's called Now You See Me, Now You Don't, which is what the second one should have been called. Like that's low-hanging fruit. I don't know why they saved that for number 3. It was like how Bad Boys, they used Bad Boys for Life as the third one, and then they released a fourth one. That should have been Bad Boys for Life. Like, just come on, Hollywood, get your shit together. Know how many movies, like, know what the wordplay is. That's all I'm asking. That's what this whole podcast has been about.
I think the problem is they never know. They never know when they're going to stop milking it, you know, and then they just don't get it. But I think they should just call you next time. Obviously, just like I think it's so simple.
I'll look down the line and see what else we can.
Right, be like, I have a vision for the puns of your series, and I am here to help.
Can I call out one other cast member here?
No.
Okay.
Of course.
I wanted to shout out, not a well-known name, but David Dastmalchian, who's in his first film role here. He's just playing one of the guys that's like teamed up with Joker in like the rifle scene and like the parade.
You're talking about the one who's Officer Rachel Dawes.
He's playing Officer Rachel Dawes. It's a weird universe that we're in.
Yeah.
But he would go on. He's in Dune. He was in the newest Suicide Squad. He was also in a really good horror movie last year called Late Night with the Devil. That was kind of like a Johnny Carson show. Like it was shot as if it was a late night talk show from the 60s, and they do a seance that goes awry. Worth checking out. But just props to that dude. He's also a huge horror movie fan. He's always in these documentaries talking about horror. So that's where I also know him from. But I just think it's cool this is his first film role. So
I didn't know this was his first. I mean, I recognize him in a few
He'd done
things,
TV,
like you're saying,
but this was his first movie. Yeah.
That's cool. Alrighty, quick plot summary, fam. When a menace known as the Joker wreaks havoc and chaos on the people of Gotham, Batman, James Gordon, and Harvey Dent must work together to put an end to the madness.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Checks out. I never know what I'm going to get with these. It's always a fun ride. Okay. Quick composer note that I think is worthwhile. We have James Newton Howard here and Hans Zimmer. They did this together, which I think is so fucking cool. Two really legendary composers for the screen. Howard has done like Hunger Games and The Village and Signs and some of this cool stuff. Hans Zimmer, we just talked about, did F1, but he's also done just a ton of stuff, including like No Time to Die, which is a Bond movie. He also did Dunkirk for Christopher Nolan as well. So really cool.
That's cool. They like
really
came
cool pair up.
To
I know.
It's like when Brandy and Monica did The Boy Is Mine. This is probably on par with that, maybe a little lower, but it's pretty cool.
I mean, yeah, because Brandy and Monica, like, it's really hard to top that. That's actually pretty incredible. Let's be honest. Yes, it's a really beautiful pairing. It's because they did Batman Begins together, and he wanted that cohesion apparently. But again, like, how did that happen? I don't even know. How did they end up doing that
Yeah, how do
first
you
one
say I
together?
want two composers? Maybe it was like a scheduling conflict, or
Yeah,
one took over
I
for the
don't.
other, and then they were like, actually, this works.
Maybe they just got drunk one night together and decided to tag team it. I don't know.
They just share the salary.
We're
Sure.
just making shit up on the pod today. Hope you guys don't mind.
Honestly, with how much has already been said about The Dark Knight, we should just make up facts.
We should just make shit up.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody said everything else. Let's just start lying. Anyways, this is not a lie. The production, the budget on this one is wild. So again, we talked about this last week about how his budgets just get bigger and bigger. Last week, for example, for Prestige, he had a $40 million budget. Do you know what this one was? I'll give you
I'm gonna
two guesses.
210.
Ooh, a little high, lower.
150.
Okay, in between. You did all right. 185.
Okay.
$185 million, which is just wild in terms of jumping up production over production, how much money he's getting. However, how much do you think this made?
I should know this. I know it's over $1 billion, but I don't know. The 1.3 billion.
Pretty good. 1.009 billion. But yes, it broke $1 billion. Billion with a B, you guys. Like this. And I don't remember the order of operations. You know, we of course have like Titanic and Avatar that both broke the billion mark. But I don't remember where this landed in all of them. This is one of the earlier superhero movies to do this. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
All right, kids. Turn around. Don't drown. It's spoiler time. Like they haven't seen it.
Yeah. Oh my God. Can we start with like, this opening sequence is still goddamn perfect. Just everything
it
from...
fucking is. It's literally my first note of this opener takes you back to the moment you watched it in the theater.
Just like that initial... You get the Batman logo in the fire, no audio there.
The blue flame, which is the hottest.
The science. The slow, like, it's such a Nolan shot. That's slow. It's not even a pan, but just the little like slight zoom into the glass, and then the explosion is what breaks the silence. And from that point on, it's just balls to the wall for the next like 15, 20 minutes.
And I think like we have to call out here, Nolan actually gets a lot of criticism for his use of sound. Especially in not right here, but like later films, he starts to like get a lot of criticism.
When he gets like the crazy
Inception, like, Interstellar, Dunkirk, they've all been, even Dark Knight Rises, I think, gets some of this criticism a little bit, just of how hard some of the things are to hear. And like especially right, not Bane's voice.
That's not what kicked it off.
Unfortunately, no, it wasn't. But a lot of the dialogue, yes, generally some of the dialogue. Dunkirk was the hardest. Like, I mean, I almost walked out of the theater in Dunkirk, and I'm not one to talk shit about these things, but I literally couldn't hear it. It was not because I didn't want to see it. It was because I was like, I have to go home and watch this on subtitles, or I'm not going to understand what's going on. That's how hard it was to understand. So he does get a lot of criticism about this. However, I just think you called out such a really interesting use of sound for him. Like you said, it's just like, it's almost silent. It's not quite. You can hear kind of basic city sounds, but it's almost silent on that subtle zoom. And then the shatter is like so good. And like you said, it's just, you're all in from there. So I think this is one of his really effective uses of sound, not just in this scene, but actually throughout. There's all kinds of pyrotechnics and explosions and things like that. There's the Batmobile, there's the Bat Pod. Like there's all these really cool uses of sound in this one for sure.
He makes, I don't want to describe it this way, but honestly, he makes noisy movies, but it's with intent. Because he wants to, again, what we said earlier, maximize that theatrical experience. He wants to put all the technology that's in the theater with you to its like most advantageous. So I totally get where he's coming from, even if sometimes it is like a little disorienting to watch.
Well, I think the criticism that is fair is that it could potentially be slightly better mixed for dialogue, because at the end of the day, you do kind of need to hear the story. I also respect his point of view of, if you were in these environments, this is probably how it would sound, right? Like you don't get subtitles in real life. You don't get audio mixing in real life. So I think those are also fair takes. But this is one of the ones that I don't really think you have that level of criticism here about the audio, and certainly not the visuals. The visuals in this are fucking out of this world. And if you think about the way it had to be produced. Even in that opening scene, they had to make that this is actually a post office that this happens in, this opening scene where they're robbing the bank. This is actually a
Big
post
fucking post
office.
office.
It is. It's a huge one. It's actually a very famous one in Chicago. It's a historical landmark. And it's so historic that they were not allowed to shoot certain things in there, and they weren't supposed to do
Like
any
guns.
damage, obviously. Yeah.
Those
So they
weren't
had
real
to,
gun shots.
but there's a fake wall for like the bus thing that happens. There's a whole fake wall where the crash through the bus happens. They had to build the bus and the ceiling like piece, like reassemble this shit inside the post office. They had to rebuild that whole scene because they could not fit the bus into the US post office.
Well,
And
when
they
you
had
say
to
this was
build
like
the wall.
a $185 million budget, like if it was less, they would have just gotten a cheaper building and crashed a bus into it. I feel like, you know,
For sure. I mean, and the wall that they built was like nothing, but they had to just go to these efforts that are insane to get these shots, which I think is kind of crazy. I also noticed that bus that when it pulls out into traffic later is the shortest one out of all the buses.
I was wondering
Okay.
how the bus driver behind that bus wouldn't call the cops and say, "Excuse me, I just saw a bus pull out of a bank, like, and it's driving in front of me right now." Or the bus driver just doesn't give a shit, I guess. I get it. He's probably got like a bunch of like 10-year-olds on there. He's probably
I was going to say
can't be
he's probably
bothered.
really distracted. He's watching like 20 kids in the back screaming and slapping each other and whatever. He probably barely even noticed the dust. You know, he's like,
Yeah.
that guy cut me off. Sit down,
It's not a
Tom.
big deal.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess driving in Chicago, you probably don't even give a shit. But this lead up to the eventual unmasking of it's just, I cannot gush enough about just how great this sequence is. It kicks things off with some action, with some comedy. I never noticed before. This is the first time I noticed that when the dude gets zapped by the safe, and the point of that, I always wondered, I was like, wait, why do they show him getting electrocuted by the safe? And it's just to let you know that this is like a mob operated bank. There's a throwaway line of dialogue that explains it. I hadn't picked up on that before. I never noticed
who wires
that
their bank with how 10,000 volts or whatever.
Yes,
a mob bank.
Because it's mob bank. Yeah. But I never noticed that when they come back to him, he's got his shoes on his hands to deal with the electricity. I had never seen that before. And I was like, that's a nice little touch. They don't call it out, but it's there. Yeah.
I do like the comedy of this opening sequence because I do think it sets the tone for this is going to be a heavy movie, to be honest, right? It is heavy, but you are dealing with the Joker, you know? So it does feel like there should be a little bit of humor in this. And it's funny how much of it they don't notice amongst themselves, you know, like that whole opening sequence where they're all supposed to take each other out and they were all given these directions and not a fucking one of them puts it together. Not one of them is like,
guy
hey,
does. He's like, I'm guessing you were told to kill me.
right. Yeah. Okay.
But
so
yeah,
it's
the safe
later
guy, I was like, how does he not realize that this is going to happen to him too? Yeah.
Yeah. And you're just like, how would you not realize at every stage you need to be on your guard? But no, they're not smart criminals. They're just criminals. But yeah, it does lend some humor to the whole thing. And I actually love, I don't remember his name, the actor. He's been in supporting lots of random things. William Fichtner. Yeah. So he does he's like, do you know who you're stealing from? Like,
do the line, Mackenzie. Do the other line. You got to say it.
What is
the second half? You and your friends are dead.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. No, it's true. You and your friends are dead. Like, do you know who you're stealing from? And he's got the shotgun. Like, it's so good.
He's great. It's such a bit part. I thought he would come back later in the movie.
But he does such a good job. He just steals the scene, you know? Mm-hmm. But I also like how we get introduced to Joker here. Like, his just comment about, like, you know, people getting stranger, you know, you get this sense of madness from him immediately, but also even like we're going to continue to gush, I'm sure, about his performance. But I think what is one of the many compelling things about Heath Ledger's performance here to me is like his physicality. The way he moves in every scene doesn't maybe seem, you know, like a big deal, but at least to me, it was very impactful of like, he's got this looseness to him. He's got this like, rubber band man kind of movement to
I noticed
him.
this was the first time
And
I paid attention to that, because like I said, I've seen this movie 6 times, and this is the first time I paid attention to just his gait in the way that he walks, especially in this scene and at the party eventually.
yeah.
It's not a drunken stumble, but there's just something off-putting about
No,
it.
it's just a looseness. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a physical looseness. He's got, again, like this rubber band man kind of movement to him. I do think he physically carries himself with the energy that Alfred describes later, of like, some men just don't care. Some men just want to watch the world burn, as we hear him say, which is obviously an incredibly brilliant and famous line. But I think he carries that in his whole body, like, of just that, like, I don't care. I just want to see what happens, and it's like, it's terrifying.
I mean, they even call it out in this, of like, they say, what about the guy who planned the job? So they're assuming the person who's organizing this is out. Meanwhile, he's in the car with them just to kind of experience it and to make sure that he's not saying a thing.
He's kind of like watching them and observing. Even behind his mask, you see him like doing this action. He's just like looking around. He's kind of like taking it all in. He just looks curious, and it's this morbid curiosity of like, I wonder where this is gonna go. And it jokingly reminds me of like people who accidentally fail up, people who continually accidentally become successful. He even calls himself out later of like, I'm like a dog chasing a car. I wouldn't know what to do with it when I got it. And he has that energy here of like, I don't know where this is gonna go. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm really curious to see what happens. And he kind of becomes like accidentally successful at this weird effort,
It's like he almost doesn't have a motive in any of this. It's just, we almost named the drink today Chaos Reigns. And I think that's very indicative of just the joy. And he even gives that speech to Harvey later on of like, yeah, anarchy's great. Like, this is how things should be, just like fucking chaos. But yeah, I think that intro scene is incredible. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, and I think it alludes to Harvey Dent later too. The progression of Harvey Dent, of the chaos reigns and the anarchy of it all, and where he wants to take everyone on this ride a little bit.
Yeah. I just, that opening sequence is damn near perfect. It almost feels weird that it's like, wait, no, I don't want to leave the Joker yet. I don't want to go see Batman. I want to spend more time with the Joker, because then we have to introduce Batman. But I do like that sequence where we're seeing, it was weird watching this. If you guys have never seen The Prestige, skip forward 2 minutes or so, or just go listen to our last episode, watch the movie, then go listen to the last episode. But it was weird watching this movie after The Prestige, because when like the 8 other Batmans show up at the beginning, I'm like, oh, it's like The Prestige. There's duplicates of everybody. And then later on, there's like one of the Batmans dies, and I'm like, it is The Prestige. It is. They're all Batman.
Lamar's like, I saw a Christopher Nolan movie before this. I know what's going to happen. I know all the secrets. Yeah. I do think that's such a good call out though, because I think that even sets the tone too, where we are in the Batman story. You don't want to leave the Joker because you're like, this is so compelling and this was so well shot. However, you do want to know what's going on with Bruce Wayne, and what's happening with him is so different. His obviously his manor has been burned down. This is a really, I think, unique take on a Bruce Wayne, life phase, even just like he's in this very different kind of Batcave, and he's in this very different kind of transition period. And you never in the comics, not never, but mostly didn't get this insight into like not wanting to be Batman. Right. So this is this, I think, almost midlife crisis for him a little bit. And I think it's really interesting to see him. He doesn't want to let all these other wannabe vigilantes do this, because at the end of the day, like he's saying, I'm not wearing hockey pads, right? He's the guy who can do it right. But you get more of an idea of like what a symbol he's become. You start to see like who he's become in the perception of Gotham.
It's the most unique retelling, I think, of the Batman story, because, or any superhero story really, because I think it's just typically you get thrown into a universe with a superhero, they fight a villain, everyone is cheering for them, that's great. Occasionally you'll have an extra layer to it where there's a love interest, or some people in the community, your J. Jonah Jamesons don't want Spider-Man to be Spider-Man. In this, it's not just this opening sequence that we're talking about, but throughout the film, the story of Batman and his impact on the city, I think is actually pretty fucking cool that it's
Mm-hmm.
something completely different where it's there would be multiple people who view this different ways. There are cops that are on board with Batman. There are
Mm-hmm.
others who think they should arrest him. There are
Mm-hmm.
citizens who like think he's a bit. There's citizens that want to join up. This is how it would
Mm-hmm.
happen in real life. Basically, other people would start duplicating his activities, copycats. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And I think like that opening sequence, you get like a little scarecrow appearance that's really cool.
Hmm.
It doesn't take away from it, right? It doesn't like fully take you out of it. It kind of checks out with like what he would do, right? What would he segue into doing? And he kind of does that in the real Batman universe, by the way. He never gets like defeated. He keeps kind of being annoying and coming back. And so you're kind of like, oh, of course he is. Of course he's there. But that whole garage scene is when we're talking about the evolution of Christopher Nolan doing incredible things in terms of filmmaking and trying new things in terms of filmmaking. He's shooting in this garage in this very controlled environment, but he's doing these crazy shots and crazy stunts while he's at it. Like that jump down the garage and the composition. I know I keep saying this about his work, but like the composition of that shot of him hitting the van and his cape and the lighting and the impact onto the van as he's jumping down through layers of this garage. It's chef's kiss. It's
It's
so beautiful.
I'm in full agreement with that, but I just cannot help but think of like, yeah, Batman has a no kill rule, but he will jump from 50 feet up and stomp your fucking head through the ceiling of your motor vehicle and just hope you don't die. That doesn't break the rules. There's a
Hey, he
lot of
didn't
that
like
in this.
intentionally try to kill you, so I think it doesn't break the rules.
There's another
I
sequence
think
later when he's on the bat pod and he's like the kids are doing like air shooting it and the cars start exploding. I'm like, he blows up the last car in front of theirs. Like
Oh,
he
I did.
very
I did.
nearly could
I
have killed
actually,
those
it's funny
kids.
you say that. I do remember that this time of
Yeah.
being like, you don't even know what's happening with those cars. You just blew the shit out of those cars. But, whatever. That's neither here nor there. I also don't love, I'm going to call it out now because otherwise I'm going to bitch about it again later. The dog situation that is pervasive throughout this movie. In this moment, he's fighting the dogs, he's punching them, he gets bit by the Rottweiler. Listen, I have a scar right here. I've also been bit by a Rottweiler. I get it, my dude. We don't punch him in the face. This Rottweiler hit me. I didn't punch him in the face.
I'm in a hard disagree on that. If a Rottweiler is attacking me, I probably would punch it in the
He
face.
didn't.
Batman
Well,
or
in my
not.
case, he wasn't attacking me. He was very
Okay.
scared. It was reactionary. Anyway, I'm not going
Okay.
to explain. The point is, I just got away from him and it's fine. But
You
I
wouldn't punch
just,
one dog in the face to stop the Scarecrow? You're gonna let Scarecrow go poison the whole city
oh
for one
God,
dog?
that's a shitty
You don't have to
proposition. I
answer
don't
that.
know what to
Again,
do with that.
you guys haven't heard this before. My theory is that eventually AI will get good enough that anytime there's animal cruelty, we will just replace it with a birthday cake. So in this
We're
case,
just
you'd
gonna
see a
edit
dog
it for
attack
me.
Batman, but then he would be so angry he would pick up a birthday cake and punch it, and we'd be on with the movie. We'll get there, Mackenzie, I promise.
Thank you, please. I want
Yeah.
that to be item number 1 on the AI agenda because I'm over it. But they do it to them later, anyways. I do think it's they get a bad rap in this, but it does kind of like set us up for another suit. Some exciting suit tech, which is cool. We always love a
Yeah.
Lucius Fox is gonna like do some suit stuff.
That quote from Christopher Nolan where he said the whole Batman needs a suit that's more versatile and lightweight. That was actually just what Christopher Nolan wanted in real life, because in all the history of Batman movies, these live action actors couldn't turn their neck. They had to rotate
Yeah.
their entire shoulders. And this is the first movie, and you watch that opening sequence, Christian Bale is like stiff as a board, and
Yeah.
then throughout the movie he can actually, get some flexion.
I just also like do well again things that nobody else cares about because everything else about this movie has been said. We have to talk about how Lucius Fox is apparently free to just drop everything as the CEO of Wayne Enterprises, who is in theory quite busy and obviously super brilliant, but he can just stop everything and be like, "Oh, you want a new suit, my guy? For sure. You want a bat pod? For sure. You wanted me to like work on your R&D project? I got you. Oh, you need like help getting in and out of a plane? No problem." I'm like, what? How is Wayne Enterprises running?
Is that very different than any CEO that you've ever met, that they couldn't just be like, fuck it, I'm going to like South Africa for 3 weeks? Like,
Listen, I am a professional, so I will say no comment. No comment.
Yeah, yeah. I want to backtrack a little bit because I feel like we get these introductions to what we were saying about how sort of complex this story is, the way that they're
Yeah.
treating the citizens, these complex views of Batman that we haven't
Hmm.
really had before. I also love the incorporation of Harvey Dent. Like when I saw the
So
trailers
good.
for this and we knew who was playing who and whatnot, I just assumed, okay, it's going to be one of those two villain Batman movies or any superhero where it's like, oh, we're going to put like, Two-Face and the Riddler in this one, and we're going to do Catwoman and the Penguin in this. I just assumed that was how it was going to play out. The way that they leverage Harvey Dent in here kind of mirrors very intentionally Batman's story of the Joker
Hmm.
trying to break these two characters and what they stand for. And I just think the incorporation of bringing Harvey in and him like dating Batman's ex and best friend and the way that that gets weaved in with the Bruce Wayne of it all, I think that's what makes this so damn good is it just breaks so many different stereotypes of what you expect out of a superhero film.
And I think even out of your hero, right? Because Harvey Dent, I 100% agree with everything you just said. But I will also say Harvey Dent is not your prototypical hero. Like he is absolutely supposed to be the hero here. He's the aspirational guy. He is who Bruce Wayne wants to hand the baton off to because he's like, hey, there's actually finally a legitimate figure who can actually
Yeah.
do this, which is what should have happened all along. But Gotham was always too corrupt to do it. And now we have the guy. This is the fucking guy. And I think the thing that makes him such a quote unquote white knight is actually that he's a bit more gray. He's an idealist, certainly, but he is not afraid, even in the early stages of this film, to get his hands a little dirty and to show his people, like a Gordon, that, like, I am on your side. I will fucking get it done for you, even if you don't trust me. Like, I just love, I mean, imagine having Harvey Dent as your boss, right? Like, I just love that communication with this guy of, like, I'm going to show up for you if you show up for me. And I think that's the thing that helps you get buy-in to this character is that he is not perfect. He is not naive about what he can and cannot do in this role, about what is and is not happening in this police department, in
Yeah, he
this
calls
mayor's
out the
office. He
crooked
calls
cops.
it out.
Like that
He
is another
knows,
layer that is worked into this script that didn't need to be there, but makes the movie
but it
better.
tells you so much. It tells you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, he
I,
calls it from the beginning of like you've got crooked cops in your department. I've investigated them, and I paid special attention this time, and you see that happening throughout the film of like the
mm-hmm.
reason that all this ends up going wrong at the end is because of the crooked cops in the department and the people that
And he says
Joker
it
and
from the
friends have
get-go,
leverage on.
and nobody listened. Even Gordon didn't listen to him.
Yep.
So it's like it's almost that and we love Gordon and we love Batman obviously and we love Harvey Dent, but we see this almost comeuppance happen to Gordon that is actually a result of his actions to some degree, and you see Harvey tell him that, like, I fucking told you, and at that point, of course, he's kind of cracking, and this is a different state of things. But he is telling him, like, if you had trusted me, if you had listened to me, we would not be here. We would not be in the situation. And I think you see, and again, speaking to everybody's incredible performances, I think you see Gary Oldman's guilt, even in the way that he plays that, of like,
Mm-hmm.
he knows that that's true. He agrees with that. He feels the shame and the guilt of that. But he also felt hamstrung. So like you feel empathy for him as well. But it's somebody that they're all admirable. They're all flawed. That's what I think is what's interesting about the story.
Yeah, it's all layers of gray in this, and
Mm-hmm.
that's probably why we latch onto the Joker. And for most of the movie, we end up really enjoying what he's doing because he's kind of fucking with the mob, and like he's not scared of them, and that's new to us. Which I guess segues us into we got to spend some time on Heath Ledger's performance here, and I just wrote down of it is equal parts captivating and heartbreaking to watch because you just see how good this guy was and how much he put into this, and knowing how it ends is just every single time I watch it harder and harder to get through.
Yeah, I think we should take a moment to talk about the differences in everybody's performance. His is the most profound for all the reasons that we know. But I think also, yeah, you can't watch this without looking at him and going, he is and was method. He is a method actor. and this role had an impact on him. That's pretty common knowledge. Whether it had a direct correlation to how he passed I'm not going to get into that, but I will say you can see how hard this role could be to perform, especially if you're immersive about it, which clearly he was. But I think what's one of the things that obviously I'm the resident stunt expert on this pod now, so I did a lot of research into the stunts on this. But one of the things I thought was really interesting about Heath Ledger, the man, is that he did not come out of character in this film on set. He did not come out of character except for the pencil sequence, which was with a stunt double who had to actually slam his head on a table repeatedly for this stunt and was knocked out on 3 different occasions in the process.
Jeez.
Yeah, and don't even get me started. There were 2 different tables. He was like, the real table was better than the quote cushioned table. It was a whole thing. He has to swipe the pencil really fast before his head hits it. It's a whole thing. It's very practical. That's the other thing. Most things are practical effects in this movie. But that's the one thing that made Heath Ledger break character, is when he knocked this guy out. And he immediately felt terrible that he had hurt this guy. And I just thought, what a loss, what a loss of this incredible man, an incredible actor, and really committed to his art, but was just a good guy.
Yeah, and we're not going to, like you said, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. I just want to say one specific thing about it. I didn't do all the research, but I feel like there's been a resurgence lately where Heath Ledger's journals were dug up from when he was he was trying to get in character, so he's doing these journal
I
entries
kind of
as the
hate
Joker.
that for him.
It's unsettling to look at them because it's him getting into character as the Joker, and you're seeing him just do chicken scratch and write the same words over and over again and become this character. So I think there was this renowned focus on this is what killed him, was this role. The only thing I want to put out there, because we do not need to debate this in any way, but I would encourage you to go do your own research. And his sister has said that basically the mixture of drugs that ended up killing him, he had done that through multiple years of his life because he was an insomniac. So he had sleep medication and he would occasionally mix it with other drugs and alcohol. So this was not as though the Joker caused him to do. That's the way that I interpret it. If his sister says that that is the case, it seems like it was incidental and it wasn't directly tied to this role. Can we just respect the guy for being a really good fucking actor who happened to, have this accident happen?
I also think accidents truly do happen, even for troubled people, right? Like there is a point at which too, that if you are an insomniac and you're taking medication for that on an ongoing basis, and maybe you're doing a normal amount of drinking, even not an absurd amount of drinking, like your body sometimes gives out. Your body sometimes can't deal with those things. And so, yeah, I wouldn't ever pretend to know the reasoning and what exactly happened, but I agree with you. I think we can give this man so much credit for the art and his performance, and it is the standout moment of this film, not just because he passed, but because it is from it's his entire body, like we're saying, like it's in his physicality, it's in his tone, it's in his mannerism, it's the licking, it's the six, it's mouthing six, it's the hanging upside down and still being fully committed to everything that he's screaming at Batman. It's, telling a different Scar story every single time, and the timing of that, and the looking at the building that's about to blow up and shaking the detonator, and like that is also a whole other stunt thing that was supposed to happen. Like he wasn't sure if it was supposed to go off or not. There's so many subtle things to this that are just absolutely an incredible performance.
You mentioned the way that he moves. You mentioned the licking of the lips, the way he delivers the voice he does, the makeup, and I guess he actually had some impact on that, of when they were applying the makeup, he would intentionally scrunch his face to make all the lines in his forehead. So that way, when you see it in the film, it's like there's these gaps and it looks more intense and unsettling because of that choice by him. I just feel like there hasn't been, it never feels hokey. Like it could have been very easy to be like, I'm just going to do something a little darker than what Jack Nicholson did. I think it's Heath Ledger in this.
It's wholly unique.
I think Heath Ledger in this and Anton Chigurh, what's the actor's name in No Country for Old Men that plays Anton? Javier
Mm,
Bardem.
Javier Bardem. Yeah.
Those two are the like quintessential. This character could have been silly if done in the wrong way, but because it's done so fucking perfectly, it's
Just
like the most
commitment. Yeah.
terrifying like villain you can imagine. I feel like those two are number 1 and 2.
Well, because I think like it's exactly what we were talking about earlier of he doesn't know what will happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like even if you think about these other villains in the Batman universe, like it's a semi-controlled environment. They have a specific goal, right? This is a true anarchist who doesn't really care. He just wants
Mm-hmm.
to upend society and kind of see what happens. And I think that unknown and that possibility of utter chaos, as we said earlier, is the most terrifying thing. And he brings that through at every single level. And you see him commit to the chaos. The bat pod run like driving straight for him and him saying, like, hit me, hit me. And he is not moving. He wants it to happen. And that alone should tell you like the mania of this person and the things that they are willing to do and where they're willing to go with this. And again, on the stunts, gotta shout out. There's only one guy who could drive that pod.
Batman.
There is obviously Batman.
I mean,
Obviously.
we know that. Come on, Mackenzie. That's not a fun fact.
Obviously. No, Jean-Pierre Goy is the stunt man. Jean-Pierre Goy is the stuntman who was the only of all the stuntmen who tried to drive the pod who could do it without it flipping on them. So it's a motorcycle, but not, right? It's a very different structure. And so he's the only one who could drive it. So if you see those sequences where it's really being driven incredibly, that's him. And he was the only one who could do it. And those are, again, practical. Like the crashes are practical. The coming out of the Batmobile is practical, all of that. And so it's we got to just like shout out the actual practical effects. And that whole scene of the Joker Batman showdown, the 18-wheeler flip is real. Like that is an actual 18-wheeler that flipped. They only practiced it one time in a parking lot. That is really done on Wacker Drive in Chicago. It is really narrow, and it was physically flipped in a controlled stunt with like hydraulics.
I was just in Chicago a month ago, and I was on Wacker. I didn't realize that's where this was. I knew it was in Chicago.
A lot of this is like LaSalle, Wacker, Upper
Okay.
Wacker, Lower Wacker. So like the exiting shot of this film is, I believe, coming out of Lower Wacker up onto Upper Wacker, and like it's a beautiful shot. And so yeah, I mean, this is such the perfect place even to film that. Like the environment for it is so perfect for Gotham. It's the exact right location.
Yeah. You mentioned the truck flip, you mentioned the standoff, you mentioned the pencil trick, and I was just throughout this writing, I had a single bullet that was just like iconic moments, because it's weird for me, you know, put yourself back when you were like 10 years old and you were hearing pop culture and movie quotes and references from like 20 years before you were born, right? Like the Scarfaces and the Godfathers and like these little things that it's weird for me now to have been like, oh, I was alive when this came out, but still to this day, people will reference, I'm going to make this pencil disappear, or like, why so serious? Or you want to know how I got these scars? You either die the hero or live long enough to see yourself become the like, I'm just like, fuck, this movie is like chock full of just iconic cinematic moments.
Yeah, and that line is, I think I said it on an earlier ep, but that's a Jonathan Nolan contribution, that like most famous line here, and that was his line that he added, and yeah, like some of the stunts that they do are gonna live on in our cinematic memory forever. The 18-wheeler flip being one of them.
It okay for me that I wrote down to this day probably my biggest annoying moment in this. But if you can make this okay for me, Mackenzie, I'm really counting on you.
No pressure.
Right after the semi flips, which is arguably one of the most badass moments, knowing that is practical and seeing that happen, we get this dumbass shot of the bat pod riding up a wall just so he can flip around and do a 180, and it looks really bad. That is not practical, right? Like, why did they need to do that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about. I don't know what you mean by why did they need to do that. That's a like, let me show off this bat pod move. Like,
But
I
it
don't,
just doesn't
it's
look
definitely
great.
not a need. I think that's
He
probably true. It's
drives
not a
like
need.
4 feet up the wall and then just flips
Yeah.
it around and like plops. And I didn't think it looked cool the first time. I still don't think it looks cool.
I think it looks cool, but I also like thought shit like that was cool. Like I think of that as like a like motocross, BMX. Like you would do cool weird stunts like that and like it just that was what it was reminiscent of for me. So I was like that's kind of fun because it's translating off of a track onto a city street. And
I
so like
guess.
I thought it was cool, but we're like a motocross motorcycle family. So I don't know. I think maybe I'm
I
biased.
guess. It just felt I'd rather he had just come to a slow and complete stop and then like done the thing where you put your legs down and walk backwards to turn the bike around, you know? Like
Okay, Gramps.
I'm
Yeah. No, we're removing you are no longer in charge of the stunts, is what we have learned for sure. For
But
sure.
can I tell you one other thing that I do if I'm going to dock any points from this film? Like one thing that does kind of get on my
Please
nerves.
say Rachel. Please say Rachel. Because
Okay,
I want to
Janelle
talk
gave
so
me
much
shit because while we were watching this, the first like 2 scenes, Maggie Gyllenhaal, and props to her for stepping in for Katie Holmes. She's doing her. I don't think she gives a bad performance.
It's
but I
not
was
her
like,
fault. It's their fault. She's wrong. She's wrong for it.
Yeah, I said to Janelle, I was like, did anybody tell Maggie Gyllenhaal that this Batman movie's not being filmed in 1995? Because the delivery of her dialogue, just in those first like 2
Yeah.
scenes, it's not the whole movie. She gets better. But when her and Harvey are walking together and she's like, it's Gotham City. If they're not trying
It's
to kill
like-
you, you're not doing your job. I'm like, you are not Nicole Kidman in 1994. This is a more serious, darker take on Batman, and I don't know if she got the memo.
She's trying to do like Batman the animated version. She's the worst thing about this movie. And I say this, I would like to at the same time speak in defense of women in Christopher Nolan films because I actually think he treats them as an aside, like they don't matter, and it really pisses me off. And this is actually a great example because if you had put the right person in that role, or I don't know, directed her better, I don't know, but she is an important part of the story and you treated her like an afterthought, and she is wrong for this. She is playing this wrong the whole fucking time. She has a swagger to her. She has a confidence to her that is not this character, not based on our prior versions of this. She is trying to be snarky and funny and like the his girl Friday of it all. And I'm like, girlfriend, different movie. You're in the wrong movie. And she takes me out of it every scene that she's in. And I don't blame her. I think that's her as an actress. I think that's a little bit her style. I think she was either miscast or she should have been directed better. And
I think it's that
neither
part,
thing happened.
because there are some scenes in this where I think she does a good job. I think honestly, in the weird to say, but like in her death scene, I think
her death scene's the only good one. The only good one.
But yeah, I think maybe it is. Maybe you're onto something of just everything I read in like the random facts about this was how not hard, but critical and specific Nolan was with Ledger and with Eckhart of like, this is how I want you to deliver this. I didn't read anything about Maggie Gyllenhaal being told like you need to do this in this way. And I feel like she could have used a little more, hey, can we take that again?
I think that he thinks the women in his films are an afterthought. You know, I'm sorry. There's
the big revelation in Nol-vember. Goddamn.
Especially now watching a bunch of them in a row, I'm having a real hard time on seeing it, you know? And I'm just like, I don't think you take this person's role in your film seriously. And yeah, he directed Bale and Ledger to within an inch of their lives. Why is this woman getting away with, if you're not getting shot at, then you're doing your job? Like, that is what a crock of shit. And like the way she delivers that, I actually like her as an actress, and this movie kind of messed her up for me for a while there of like, this doesn't fit. But I kind of don't blame her. I think he thinks this character doesn't matter. And yeah, I just don't agree with that. I think she's critical to the story, especially in terms of defining Harvey Dent's relationship with her and the way in which it descends him into madness, which is, I think, one of the also best performances in this film, is the subtle descent into breakdown that he has and how you see it break him down. And it's completely believable. It's not farcical the way you think it could be if done wrong, but it has to be rooted in that relationship, at least marginally, with her. And that part doesn't land.
So just so you're on the record, you don't like the line, you make your own luck. Not a fan? No?
It's not my favorite.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I think that's a good segue into, as we make our way into the last, 45, 60-ish minutes of this film, I wanted to spend a little bit of time focused on like the interrogation room scene, because I think that's where stuff kicks into high gear, yeah.
The six of it all. Like a leper. There's so many great lines. It's so good. But those are the kinds of things that could be farcical if done poorly, and they're not.
I keep thinking you're saying fartsicle. You're not saying fartsicle.
Do I need to get you like an SAT word book, or what do you think would help?
This is a classy podcast, everyone. But the thing I love most about that, it's how throughout the movie, multiple times, Batman seems to throw Joker in the background. He's like, no, we should take down the whole mob before we worry about this one dude who's... I like how they build into the Joker just pursuing him and like really turning the city against him in order to get his attention. And it all sort of culminates in this showdown in the interrogation room. But Ledger's performance in this scene, I mean, we talked about the first scene. We didn't talk about the party. We need to get to the party at some point. We're going to go backwards. But he starts out funny in this interrogation, like you're laughing at the silliness of the two.
You don't hit him right away or they get fuzzy.
Yeah.
See,
it's how serious Batman is versus how unseriously Ledger or Joker is taking this, and it descends into this dark place where and the music is swelling and it's just taking you into this creep factor of like, holy shit. And by the end of that sequence, and obviously with Rachel's death, is when you're like, oh yeah, I guess the Joker's kind of a bad guy, huh? Like you're
not supposed to like him,
right?
No, I think like he has a charm offensive for sure. Mm-hmm. And I think even you seeing him, that scene is great. I think there are so many great lines from it. The dynamic is really good from everybody. I don't know the actor's name, unfortunately, but the gentleman who comes in later and talks to him about the cops who have died. You get it. It's one of those, like, it's a runaway train, right? You watch it and you're like, oh, you know exactly what's going to happen. However, you completely understand this person and how they get there, right? But that scene is so well done. It's so well shot. I love the claustrophobia of it all, and that he seems completely comfortable. He is in theory trapped. He's in theory being held against his will. And I think that's one of the things that Gordon says later is he wanted me to lock him up in the MCU, right? All of this is fine with him. He's right at home, and that should be concerning everybody, and he's got this calm, cool, collect nature, and they all just kind of dismiss it. I think people don't take him as seriously because he's so absurd, because he's so silly, because of all these things, but he's the most dangerous guy in the room. And yeah, I think that scene is really emblematic of that. And so is the party scene, to your point of you see him, how far he's willing to go. He'll throw a fucking woman off of a building. He does not care.
Which I said this to Janelle when we were watching it. I was like, he breaks into the party. We have this incredible scene. It's just Ledger at his best when he's walking around. He's eating the snacks. He takes the champagne, spills 90% of it, takes the little swig of it. It's just him crushing his performance here. Does the scene with the old man of like, you want to know how I got these scars kind of thing. But when he grabs Rachel, shoots the window out, and then Batman is like, let her go, poor choice of words, drops her. Batman starts running toward the window to jump out and save Rachel. I was like, Janelle, if he just makes a hard right turn and tackles Joker and punches him in the face and says, you're under arrest, and Rachel falls to her death, then we could have wrapped this movie up 90 minutes early. Rachel would still be dead. Nothing would change there. Harvey wouldn't be burned. I'm just saying he could have hard right turn. Hey, Joker, guess what? You're going to jail. It's insane.
I think, sometimes you got to do things for the plot, my guy. Like you need the plot. They needed it to be longer than 45 minutes. Is really what it came down to. But you solved it. I think you're right. I think we also have to talk. So one of the things we have to talk about, it's one of my other favorites beyond all the stunts, because I love all the stunts for sure. I think like the money factor, the mob factor, the burning of the money shot is so fun. Him like sliding down the money and setting everything on fire,
Throwing the packs of bills at a
throwing the
wow.
packs of
Yeah.
bills. The fact that he pseudo adopts the dogs, although I don't love obviously his treatment of the dogs later. But then also the Lucius Fox of it all. We have this whole subplot with Lucius Fox again running Wade Enterprises. He's talking to this company. He goes out there and is part of this, mission to get him back. And that whole sequence is one like a series of really cool stunts that are and effects that are really fun.
You're talking about the Hong Kong?
The Hong Kong piece,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
And that part's really fun and really interesting. But also the fucking, what is it, lawyer, CPA, whatever, douche canoe, who is like coming in and being like, I found the anomalies in your books and I'm going to bribe you. And the Lucis, this is just cannot be, it's one of my favorite things of just him trying to threaten him. And he just gives him the best smackdown of all time of like, you think this guy is a vigilante billionaire and your plan is to blackmail him? And it's the good luck of it all of just like, I just, it's laughable. It's so hilarious. The way this man shrinks. It's so cool. It's so funny. However, you see that like flutter in Lucius later when he sees what has been built for the R&D, the cell phone R&D thing, and he discovers what it is. And he, for a blip there, not a little blip, a long blip, thinks that Bruce has like really crossed the line. And you see him lose his faith in him. And I think that's kind of an overlooked plot point in this movie because of all the Joker stuff, all the Harvey things. There's so many things going on. But that's a fundamental relationship shift for them for a split second. And it recovers in a really beautiful, cathartic way. But it's a hot second of like, you think Lucius and Bruce Wayne are breaking up. Like, it's kind of rough.
Like, this is too far. Like, after this, I'm done. And to your point, I'm going to go ahead and say this. I think that plot line is one I could have done without. I feel like there's another way that the entire purpose of it is Batman needs to find Joker. So he gets this sonar thing where he can find Joker in the city. And then it's, this is an invasion of public privacy. I think this was I'm trying to remember back then of like, was this when the, what was the Freedom Act? Or what was that called?
Freedom of Information Act? Well, there's Freedom of Information, and then there's the Patriot Act, which allows people to break the Patriot Act.
I feel like this is around that time, so they were probably making a statement about it. I don't think you need it. To your point, there's so much else already happening. I don't really need this throwaway scene that they might not be friends because of this invention, and then it ends up 10 minutes later it's fine because he was going to destroy it anyway. It also is dumb to me that basically
I think it's taking a stand on it because to be fair, like the Patriot Act is really actually powerfully invasive. It's something that's like,
I mean, I get that, but I don't need it in the movie.
I just think that's what's happening here, right? I think here's a little bit of what's happening here of like, this is a violation and we underestimate surveillance and its power. And not to get too political, but I think it's a problem right now, right? And so I think it's something that people should care about. And I think it tells you a lot about Lucius that he takes an ethical stand against this, and that he in theory thought Bruce was similar and would agree with him on this. But I do think it's an important, I agree with you. Like, it could be cut. I think there's a way to explain away the technology that helps him find Joker and all that. I think you could cut it. But I do think it's another thing that helps you understand the lengths to which Bruce Wayne, Batman, would go to find this guy. Because I do think the whole point of that whole plot line, among others, is to prove the desperation of these people and how the compromises, the moral quandaries they are in to find this guy, and the lengths that they will go to, and the ways in which they compromise themselves to do it, because he does it at the end of the day. He could have said, I'm not going to help you, I'm not going to do it, right? He says, I'll do it this one time, because he also understands that the threat is too great and he has to find him. So I think it's more about Joker than it is everything else. But I think it's like, here, how far will people go to catch this one crazy guy?
I'm just gonna I don't care about this enough to argue about. Like, it's annoying to me, but I get what you're saying of why at the time.
Well,
Like,
I'm
and
just
it's still
explaining. I'm
relevant.
just
So,
trying to
like,
explain the possibilities. I don't think you're wrong at all in your opinion.
Batman's getting his ass kicked by Joker because he's got the stupid sonar goggles on. It's fucking up his ability. He can't see a guy that's literally 2
It's
feet
very
in front of
bad
him.
though. It's very
just-
batty of him to have
I
this.
know. Yeah, facts. Like,
The echolocation of it all, you guys.
you're
Anybody
telling
want
me
to nerd
Batman
out?
couldn't just fucking pump out some bat Bluetooth headphones to like hear Joker across the
It's
city?
also
We
not
could've just
like
gone that route. Like,
echolocation-y. They don't really explain it that way. I mean, it is. It's a very Batman. It's like a deep cut bat reference that's not as overt as they would like. But yeah,
it's
I get
also
it.
like weird. There's still at least one more scene that we have to talk about, but since we're here, let me say this. Is it weird that honestly, the part of the movie where, you know, I was watching this late last night, I've seen it a bunch of times, the part of the movie where I was like, okay, I'm going to start, you know, brushing my teeth, getting ready for bed because I want to be in bed by the time this ends, is like the last 20 minutes. Like the ferry scene, the fight with Joe, the
Oh my God.
hand-to-hand fight with Joker, and then that final showdown with the three of them. It's not that it's not good, but to me, compared to everything else you've gone through so far, it's like the least interesting part.
It's a
for
really
me.
slow denouement, I would
Yeah.
say. I think that's fair to say. I did have one note about the boat thing of like, if this happened today, this
Yeah.
would be so bad. This
Both
would not
boats
go.
would blow up within like
They
a
would
second
blow
and
up
a half.
instantaneously. Like
Yeah.
this would be so bad. I just loved the like hopefulness of humanity in this that they don't, right? And I love the fucking giant tattooed ridden guy being like, give it to me. You can tell him I take it by force, blah, blah, blah. And he just like throws it out the window.
I don't know the actor's name, but that's the guy from Friday, and he's been in so much. I think he passed away a few years ago, but yeah.
Oh
rest in
no.
peace. Yeah.
R.I.P. But I love that performance, and I love that, like, you know, it upends your expectations, and I love that about the whole scene, but especially him as a character. I love that douche canoe on the other boat can't pull the trigger, literally. Yeah, I actually really like that scene, but yeah, my one takeaway was like, this would be so bad right now. If we did this right now, this would be really bad. But the other thing I want to call out is, again, I know I said it earlier, but just the shots here of the creative shots that Christopher Nolan and his team are doing here. The buildings where we're like dropping the other SWAT team members, that we're dropping Joker, which by the way, Heath Ledger did do that drop himself. He insisted. The boat thing is like the way that it's shot into the river is really cool. Like it's just like the night lighting of it all is really interesting. And then the 360 shot makes an appearance again when they all pow out at the top of the building. Him, Harvey, and Gordon, where they're trying to figure out a plan to take down Joker. It's the 360 shot again that we talked about in Prestige of like they're just in that cycle and they're going around them and talking, letting them just kind of have that full-blown conversation while working around them, which again is in a low light setting. I think it's really cool how all of that is shot and produced. But I agree that the last 10-15 minutes is kind of like winding down and like really winding down. But that last shot going out, the ending shot, like fuck me up. I love the Bat Pod just like driving up out of this lower level onto this upper level.
Like
the lighting
too. Yeah.
It's a cliffhanger. You don't like, this is not how I think it's fair to say that when you saw this when it's coming out, it's not how you expected it to end.
It's not a happy ending.
It's not a happy ending, and it's definitely not what you expect, you know? Like, they're rewriting history for the sake of Harvey Dent. He's not your hero-ish, right? At the end of the day, Batman is the one who delivered, and you're turning on him at the end. And so I like that kind of shift, that upending of what you expect to happen at the very end. And that last shot is just chef's kiss. It's so beautiful.
Speaking of upending what you expect to happen, were you disappointed that they didn't run? I thought they would run back the Two-Face death from Batman Forever, where he flips his coin and then Batman just throws up a bunch of other coins and he loses his balance and falls. Like, I was like, that if we're gonna steal anything, let's just run that back. It's great.
That is a good trick. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I actually really, in all sincerity, I like this origin story. The way they played this origin story for Harvey, I think it's really organic and feels pretty organic to the story.
They very easily could have fallen flat on his face. Or they could have been like, oh, he turns into Two-Face 20 minutes into the movie. It's an origin story, and then he's a bad guy. It's just such a unique, again, I hate to say it again, but the most unique take I've seen on a superhero genre like this. I think the one sequence that we didn't really touch on, except for the explosion, is that iconic hospital scene when he's in the nurse outfit, that conversation with Harvey.
Yeah.
Like, that is,
but that's
so
even the charm
goddamn
offensive
good.
I was talking about, of just like, he's selling Harvey on that. You know what I mean? Harvey has just lost the person he loves most in his life. It is now radicalizing him to some degree, but he's not entirely sure what he's going to do with that, right? Joker pushes him over the edge. The guy that he was after is the one pushing him over the edge. And I think that's so telling to, it's like a cult leader. You know what I mean? It's like, it's that charisma. There's something under that persona that's a little crazy, but that you can identify with and that you will listen to, because he didn't need to listen to him, and he lets him talk, and he kind of gets sold a little bit.
There's
on
something like
his
oddly
version
logical
of events.
in the way that
There's,
Joker's explaining
right.
it.
He's like, all I did was present these opportunities. You know what I mean? He's like, they made their choices. Everybody made their choices. And he removes himself from responsibility. And it somehow works. It doesn't totally work because he's like, I'm going to flip a coin. Right. But this is the beginning of the mania. And yeah, I think it's really a fascinating take on like how that could devolve.
Yeah. I think the last critique that I'll give as we wrap up is, there are points in this, and it's suspension of disbelief. You do have to remind yourself this is a superhero movie at the end of the day. And like, I mean, all cinema requires some suspension of disbelief, but especially superheroes. I don't like how 2 steps ahead Joker feels in every scenario in this. Sometimes it feels a little silly on rewatch of, he tells them which people he's going to kill, and then the cops show up and put the lady in the car that explodes, and like they shut down the commissioner's office, which leads to him drinking the poisoned bottle. Like, what if he had drank the bottle 2 hours? It's only on rewatch that this happens, so I apologize that I'm being nitpicky, but sometimes the villain being 2 steps ahead gets a little silly in this.
I could see that. I think I just sort of attributed it to, like I was saying earlier, of just this like accidental success almost. And
if this were a comic book, I wouldn't question it at all. So I'm probably contradicting my own argument. Like, yeah, I just think it's in a movie this fucking good, I'm almost looking for things to not like, which seems unfair,
right.
you know?
But I think that's the thing, is like, this is a direct juxtaposition of like really incredible filmmaking and a comic book story. Right. Because at the end of the day, this is a comic book, you know? So I think this is maybe the best execution in terms of filmmaking of a comic book ever. I think it's fair to argue that. We were talking about our favorites at the top. Like, there's favorites and there's maybe like the best filmmaking, like you said. And I think this is arguably the best. But I do kind of see the little bits of the comic book still in there at the end of the day. For sure.
100%. Yeah.
One last thing I will say, I love all the stunts, but the hospital sequence is actually, it was an old factory and they did practically blow that up. And they timed the pyrotechnics and the explosion for when Heath Ledger was walking away. And he wasn't as far as he expected when it was supposed to blow up. So that's kind of like why he looks back, where he's like, is it going to blow up now? And then it does blow up and he starts running away. And it's like it's kind of a real reaction of him being like, oh shit.
Mixed facts about that, which is why I always question it. I've heard the version you told, I heard that actually there was a delay in the explosion and Heath just improvised the pause and looked back and fuddled with the remote. Like, I don't know what is true and what it seems like it should have been scripted, but one of those 3 versions is correct. Believe what
I
you
also
want.
think either way, like, he doesn't break again. Like, he doesn't break regardless of what happens with the explosion. And I just think it's cool that they did it practically, because they did it as an explosion rather than an implosion with a normal, because that was already going to be demolished. That factory was going to be demolished, which is why it got blown up. And so they changed it for the film. And so I think it's really well done. I think also to just shout out, like, there are so many incredible stunts in this. there's multiple truck flips, actually, not just the 18-wheeler one. There's that explosion. There's all the motorcycle stuff. There's the car stuff, which was actually done by Aston Martin when they built those cars. There's all the digital effects, but they actually did more practical effects because of the IMAX thing that you called out. Of IMAX, it doesn't, the effects, the CGI of it all doesn't translate as well on the big screen. So they wanted to keep as much of it practical as possible. So that's why there's so much incredible stunt work. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that we lost a stuntman in the production of this film. There was a chase sequence that was shot in England, and Conway Whitcliffe died in the chase scene. He was a passenger in one of the trucks that was being shot. So it's actually, we memorialize Heath Ledger in this for obvious reasons, but he's another one that we should memorialize. For
I
his
think
work
they
on
mentioned
this
that
film.
in the credits too. I do think
They do.
shout out
It's
both of them.
attributed to both
Yeah.
of them. I just mean when people talk about it, they mostly mention Heath Ledger.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention Conway's work on the film because it's in the credits. I just don't think we talk about it enough, and he did awesome work on this as well.
For sure.
Okay, so we said nothing but lovely things. No, I'm just kidding. I think we did a good job finding some things that we wanted to roast a little bit for something that we love very much. What's your rating?
It's hard to rate this in the genre that you went in thinking it was going to be versus being objective of just cinema in general. So if I'm going with the system of I went into this thinking I was just getting a superhero Batman movie, and having seen Batman Begins, I knew what I was expecting, and this blew that. I mean, I love Batman Begins, but this blew that out of the water. So I think at the end of the day, I don't think I'm going to go quite, you know what? I will just give it a 9. I was going to say 8.5 just to go a little lower than what the IMDb average is, because I don't think it's a perfect film. We've talked about
I don't think you can give The Prestige a 9 and not give this a 9. You know what I mean?
I think that's true. Yeah. But I mean, we've talked about some of the weaknesses in maybe it's just rewatch, but the last 30 I feel like could have played out a little differently. I don't need the surveillance subplot, the Maggie Gyllenhaal of it all, and again, no fault to her. It's probably more Christopher Nolan.
I don't think
thing.
it's her. Yeah,
I'd say a 9. You?
Yeah, I think I'm a solid 9. I could maybe go a little bit higher. I agree that the Maggie Gyllenhaal is the biggest thing that takes me out of it. I don't dislike the surveillance subplot. I think it can be removed, to be clear, and not hurt the film. But I don't dislike it. And I love the stunts and the effects, and I love the aesthetic of this movie. It's just so beautifully shot. And I just love, again, something I was mentioning in The Prestige, of just you're getting a sense for Christopher Nolan films. And you did in Batman Begins as well, to be clear. I know we skipped over that, but you do get a sense of that. And I really enjoy it personally. So yeah, I would say a solid 9, if not higher.
Can we wrap up with a little joke?
Let's go.
So it's the second day on set of shooting The Dark Knight. Christian Bale is in full Batman getup for a 9 a.m.
But can he turn his head? No, I'm just kidding.
Not yet. I'm not that part of the story. It's a 9 a.m. call. He's supposed to be shooting this interrogation scene with the Joker. The Joker has not arrived yet. What does Christian Bale say? Where is Heath? Where is Heath?
Oh my god. He just wants an excuse to bust out the voice, you guys.
I thought of that joke 40 minutes ago, guys, and I have been saving it up until
you've just been
now.
waiting. You've just been waiting to do it. Well, I'm so proud of you. You did a great job. Thank you for bringing that to the table. Okay, friends, thank you for joining us for a really long time talking about this movie. There's just so much to say about it. We thought we could not say anything new, but I guess we couldn't shut the fuck up.
Smoke a cigarette out there, you millennial men. I know you enjoyed this.
Oh, you had a great time. So did I, so don't worry about it. But come back next week for our final in Nol-vember, which is Interstellar. I think that's kind of a hot take, so I think it'll be a fun one. I personally think it's a great film.
I've only seen it once, so like all the Nolan movies we've done, I'm looking forward to the rewatch and seeing what I experienced differently this time around.
I love nerdy shit. It's a nerdy shit one. So anyways, come back to nerd out with us. But in the meantime,
In the meantime, follow us on our socials. We drink and we watch things, Instagram, TikTok. You can get the video of this podcast on Spotify video or on YouTube. If you've never given us a rating, please do that. Help us grow our reach a little bit. And finally,
Like,
you can
subscribe,
always...
right? Isn't that the thing?
I
Like,
think
don't
that's
they
what the
say,
kids
click
say
it,
still. Yes.
click it.
And then you can always email us. We drink and we watch things pod@gmail.com with movie ideas, theme ideas, questions, feedback, things we fucked up, all that jazz.
Yeah, tell us what we should do in December, because I feel like we've done the Christmassy stuff, holiday stuff. We've done like a classics, which I think was super fun. But we don't always want to do a holiday thing. So I would be super game for you guys to send us some thoughts on what to do in December. Cool. Well, for now, kids, go have a drink and watch a thing. Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm so glad I didn't take a sip right when you said, because I spit. I immediately spit. All right.